yearn for requires us to focus on common loyalties that cut across racial and religious boundaries. And there's no better shared loyalty than that towards your own country. When we speak of national loyalty, of patriotism over and above racial differences, the irony is that we already have the values spelled out in our local negara. However, I believe most would agree with me that the personal identification of these values have yet to be fully achieved. Under the first and the second thrust of the blueprint, yang pertamanya nak membina negara bangsa, yang keduanya untuk melahirkan modal insan yang betul-betul berguna kepada masyarakat maju Malaysia yang kita nak lahirkan, nak umumkan, isytiharkan menjelang tahun 2020. The Rukun Negara Club and other measures have and will be introduced in schools around the country, with the hope that we can reinstill a deep appreciation of what we share as Malaysians amongst school children. This and other institutionalized programs like RIMO, Rancangan Integrasi Murid untuk Perpaduan, where we have common programs between the different streams and the national service, are part of the effort to mold our national identity that thus far has been very fluid and perhaps elusive. Ladies and gentlemen, good race relations are important not just for a peaceful and harmonious country, but also for a prosperous one. The globalized economy requires us to display that citizens of all races can work together efficiently. For our economy to continue developing in a globalized world, the education system must be able to supply a workforce that is multi-skilled, that is flexible, that is creative. Sustainable economic development for Malaysia in years to come will rely much on whether its human capital is of good enough quality to meet the unique challenges of the 21st century. Here too, the blueprint lays out specific strategies. For example, seeing as to how to master the English language is paramount to quality human capital for them to compete globally without distracting from our emphasis on the national language. Numerous programs have and will continue to be implemented to increase the level of fluency in the English language amongst school children. We are presently studying reforms to our curriculum. We are looking at reforms to examination and assessment process, especially in the primary schools. We are relooking at co-curriculum. Reform to our vocational technical skills and educational system is another reform process which we are going through in a very fast pace. Confidence, ability to interact, entrepreneurship, communicative skills, critical thinking, but constructive criticisms, tolerance, patriotism, honesty, humanity, integrity and justice are all values in all aspects of nation building, which we are looking at to ways in which we can instill in our children right at the old schools level. Next, a first world economy will require more than mastery in a language. ICT literacy has increasingly become a very important aspect of education, precisely because so much that happens in the global economy relies on ICT. In fact, all schools that have computer labs are now required to teach ICT literacy as a subject to the primary 1, secondary 1, and secondary 2 children. Here too, incidentally, we have to empower not just the children, but also the teachers. The teachers' progress has enabled them to supervise over 2 million children who will take the ICTL subject. Even in something as sophisticated as ICT, the Ministry's commitment to reducing the urban-rural divide does not waver. We have built over 3,000 access centers that provides internet access mostly to students in rural areas. Basic access as it may be, it is an important start for these children who are not as privileged as most of you here. Finally, strengthening these arms of the education system will foster a celebration of differences. transforming well-educated children to grow up to be more enlightened about each other's beliefs and preferences. But government policy alone will not be enough. We need the private sphere to also contribute to these efforts. Families, for example, must ensure that the right values are being instilled in the young ones. And some of you here who have the unique experience of primary and secondary education in Malaysia before tertiary education overseas should not be over-cynical or overly critical of our system and its imperfections. Yes, our education has grown. And yes, along with this growth have come numerous challenges, constant criticisms, endless complaints, divergent viewpoints, intense scrutiny, and unfortunately, very, very little praise. When we talk about such a mammoth institution as our national education system, it is of course becomes an impossibility for me, for my officers, my teachers, my advisors to please everyone. But ladies and gentlemen, praise is not what we are here for. Attention will always be given to negative conversations far more than the positive. Maybe in the midst of finding the wrongs, we sometimes tend to miss the rights. Maybe feel-good stories don't make for good conversations. Maybe only when we all sincerely come together in a shared aim of a better tomorrow through education will the potentials of our education system be fully realized. Nonetheless, I maintain that we have reasons to stand proud. We have managed through hard work at the unglamorous, exhausting, often thankless task of nation building to create a society where men and women of different religions and faiths can live together, work together, bring up their families and plan for the future. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not merely a compromise forced upon us by special circumstances of our nationhood. Our orientation towards racial and religious harmony is not just how we had to be, it is how we chose to be. Thank you. Sekian. Good. Oh, by the way, PM is delayed, so I got more time with you guys. Maybe I should continue with my speech again.
Right, thank you very much, Yang Bapak Dato' Sri Jamaluddin. Now we will move to the Q&A session, but just before that, I'd like to remind... Sorry, I was asked to move to the mic up there. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, as I was saying earlier, we will proceed with the Q&A session. So since PM is delayed, we will have more time to have the Q&A session, which I'm sure many of you will be looking forward to, since education is such a contentious issue. But just before that, just a bit of floor rules. Just a reminder to keep the topic in view. Our topic is National Education Blueprint. Since education is such a wide topic, we'll focus on addressing racial polarization and sustainable economic development. And second one, I'd just like to remind everyone, just one question, and keep it short and sweet. Phrase of the day is short and sweet. Keep that in mind, please. Okay. The first person? Oh yeah, just before that.